The biggest state in the country is about to become a sanctuary state. Governor Jerry Brown and leaders in the state assembly have hammered out a deal that passes a law that will make it mandatory for every school, every library, every courthouse, every hospital in the state of California to hinder federal immigration enforcement as a matter of policy. That's not California's only bill intended to protect illegal immigrants. Another bill just passed by the Assembly would bar landlords from reporting suspected illegal immigrant tenants to the feds and expose them to lawsuits if they disobey, if they attempt to see the law enforced. Alex Rostra is an immigration policy analyst with the Cato Institute here in Washington, and he joins us. So, as a libertarian, you're obviously for property rights.
Absolutely.
Why in the world, as a matter of policy, would the state protect criminals who steal other people's property from deportation?
Well, I don't think there's any good reason to do that, but when you look at
this law does that.
Well, in the sanctuary bill, the SB 54, it actually lists 800 crimes where if you're convicted of it, you get arrested, you get sent to jail for them, then you are deported. And that is an aspect of the bill that I completely support, and I think that's wonderful. But 800 crimes. I mean, I couldn't even list 800 crimes.
Why any crimes? Well, here's what I don't understand. So if people come to this country illegally, they almost invariably consume more in benefits than they pay into the economy. That's been conclusively shown.
Not necessarily.
And there are exceptions, but overwhelming majority consume more than they pay in.
The fiscal
and they're here illegally. Why would you put up with any crime at all? I don't understand that. Why is it our obligation to accept criminals illegally from other countries? That's insane.
Well, it is to accept people who are criminals, and what this does is it takes a look at people who are not violent or property offenders, people who haven't violated the rights of other people, who haven't committed serious crimes or felonies.
How about any crimes?
And it says we're going to focus our scarce law enforcement resources on those who are actually harming other people.
That's not actually what it says.
The government only has scarce resources and needs to
the state of California is not worried about the federal government's budget problems. The state of California is not saying we're trying to save the U.S. money. The state of California is playing a very obvious political game where they're trying to win the support of illegal aliens in hopes of giving them the vote, as you know.
But the thing is,
this is purely political.
Well, these costs actually do fall on California. The detainers, if the federal government puts a detainer and says if you arrest an illegal immigrant, you have to turn them over to us. In California, that means they're held, a person who's arrested is held for an extra 20 days in California jails, California prisons, without any kind of compensation to the state. And it's not compensated. That's the federal government telling states and localities how to enforce laws and what to do. And I'm a believer in federalism.
Are you telling me with a straight face that this is about the uncompensated custody that California has to pay for? Its senators could be standing up right now and saying, we're demanding federal funds, which they would get instantly, to cover this cost. But they're not, because that's not what it's about. And by the way, if that's the reason, then why are landlords in California, if this bill passes, going to be in jeopardy for reporting to the feds their illegal tenants? It has nothing to do with the cost.
The landlord part, I agree with you, which is ridiculous. That law is absurd. But the portion about but California bears the cost of federal immigration enforcement, just like every other state does when the feds tell them that they have to hold these people in jail for 20 days on average or more and put them into it.
That's just totally a red herring and silly. And you know it's silly.
Well, it's a big cost that the taxpayers of California have to bear. They decided not to. For in this case, non-violent and non-property criminals. Really? Why should we waste government resources on people who aren't hurting people in this country?
Then why is California giving benefits to illegal aliens? Well, I mean, if it's a cost-saving
What benefits are you talking about?
Well, how about public schools?
Well, unfortunately, the Supreme Court in 1982 in the Plywood v. Doe decision said that states all have to give public school. In terms of medical care, the federal government during the 1986 EMTALA Act also said that emergency care.
So you think the state of California is upset about that? This is a lie, and I don't want to play along with it anymore. As you know, it has nothing to do with cost. The presence of this many illegals in California is a massive cost. They don't care. It's purely an effort to get votes. So I'm going to put you in the line here.
Yeah.
There is an effort in Maryland right now to allow people who are non-citizens to vote in elections. I actually think it's being decided tonight. I could be wrong. We're going to see this in California where illegals already get driver's licenses. Do you think non-citizens should be allowed to vote in the United States?
No.
Okay.
I don't think they should be allowed to vote. Even though there's a long history of non-citizens voting in this country, I don't think we should. Okay. I don't think we should do that.
So you're going to see this is the next frontier in what is, again, purely a political takeover of the government, state and federal, by the left using...
California and Maryland are already heavily blue
California
states.
is a
What
blue
are they
state
pushing for?
because of immigration.
No, California is a blue
period.
state because of bad moves by the Republicans in the
totally wrong.
mid-1990s.
That's totally wrong.
There's a vast quantity of empirical research on this that shows it was the 1991 to 1994 period in California. There's vast quantities of research. I mean, there's a point.
I'm going to let you off, though, because you clearly don't know much about California.
No, explain Texas. It has the same percentage of the population as Hispanic, and it's radically Republican. The difference is the Texas GOP did not declare war on Hispanics.
You don't
like
actually
the California
know anything about this subject. The truth is that Texas has had a huge Hispanic population for hundreds of years. They're fully American. They're not foreigners living in our country. They're Americans. And a lot of them, you know, have different political views. Some are Republican, some are Democrat. California has a massive population from people who aren't from here, who are not Americans.
The percentage of the state of Texas that is a legal immigrant is higher than in the state of California. It's 6.1% in Texas, 6% in California.
They're not voting yet, and that's the difference.
They're not voting in California yet either.
Yeah, but they will be, and you know it.
We'll see about that.
Thank you.